Shit, we're back again. Welcome to My Black Friend, man. This is me and Alonzo once more. Alonzo Houston, Stephen White,
aka Zoe Magnin.
Steve is black. So how you doing, man? What's up?
Not too much. Same old. Glad things are gonna start opening back up.
Right.
Times are changing. It's kind of crazy. How are your things, Steven? Has anything burned down around you?
Nothing's burned down like in my general vicinity, but the whole city's on fire apparently.
Yeah, it's kind of rough, kind of surreal, honestly. I'm like, shit.
I never would have seen this shit coming. The whole city's burning down, and half of me thinks it's great, half of me doesn't know.
I was saying earlier, I was like, this is all Corona and the bees. That was all just like prep for the real shit. Like this is where things actually turn up.
Like, those were just the warm-ups, so I guess we're getting ready for the final boss now. Like,
yeah, right.
I don't know what the fuck it's going to be. Maybe it'll just be a big...
I hope it's aliens. I hope we just get a big-ass flying saucer like a mothership.
Right. Like, aliens would be probably the best possible outcome of this fucking event.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell's happening.
That's like the most all or nothing it could be. Either they're just going to blow shit up, or like they're going to come down and save us.
Yeah.
So anything up new in your life, Steve?
For the first time ever, I saw a man stealing a horse from a police officer. That was pretty sick. Here, let's watch the video.
Oh boy.
I think...
It's real! Where the fuck did he get a horse?
Right, he just took it from a cop.
That's crazy.
This is in Chicago, too. Oh, Chicago has police horses.
Hey, it's real! He seems so psyched to be on that horse. I stole the horse!
This shit is for real.
Oh.
I stole the police! Police
oh god, that's hilarious. I can't believe he still gets GPS on a horse. That's amazing.
Yeah, man. That's fucking insane. That was like, he had a... was that GPS, or did he have a police scanner on the horse?
I don't know, man. There was something given to. I wonder if it was installed with the horse or if he had it on his phone. That's a lot of horsepower.
Yeah, man. The horse was fucking probably scared as shit. Actually, probably pretty happy to get away from that fucking pig, you know?
Oh, yeah, right? Yeah, horses and pigs don't get along.
Right, man. You put a pig on a horse, what do you get?
Oh shit!
Pretty tasty sandwich, I guess.
You do. You want to get topical?
Yeah, I guess we probably should. Shit. I don't know, man. Well, I guess we kind of have to. Like, we should probably say...
I think it's our civic duty, I guess.
Yeah, we got to stand together with George Floyd and the gang.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Because I guess, the idea... Like, there's a few ideas being thrown around right now. A lot of people are saying, there's two sides, I guess, with the whole thing. But I guess right now, with what what's going on with the Black Lives Matter movement... Mm-hmm. Do you think there's what do you think the overall goal is?
I feel like the goal for Black Lives Matter is to get racial equality for fucking black people, but they're struggling to get the message organized properly.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, because you have you're always gonna have a lot of messages within one movement. But I guess even what you said, what does that mean exactly with getting equality?
So I think it means, well, for one, fucking police reform. It seems like police reform is the fucking main goal, but no one's really able to figure out how to achieve that. Like, if the police aren't overwhelmingly...
so fucking hot.
Yeah, it's hot as hell. But if the police aren't so overwhelmingly negative in certain neighborhoods, I think that would help us as black people feel more comfortable. Because, like, even me... Like, this podcast is called My Black Friend. Like, I called it that because I'm, like, the whitest dude ever.
I'm the whitest black guy ever made.
Yeah, like, I just...
Hell, his last name's even white.
I missed out on the whole race thing. Like, I didn't really... growing up, I didn't really...
give him a chance.
Yeah, I didn't really know too much about being black. Now I'm starting to understand it, and I'm realizing that as a community, there's pretty much... You can only have one... If you want things to work out, you can only have one way of working on things, you know?
Yeah.
I think there's got to be some kind of unification in terms of what we do moving forward.
I'd say, just get my 2 cents on it. And let's, I guess, break it down a little bit too. Focus it into pieces, make it, because that's a broad question I just asked.
Yeah,
like, what do you think about the whole thing? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's true, but let's say this. Let's talk about the actual meaning itself, Black Lives Matter, because you have two sides that are like completely just torn on whether or not that should even be the fucking moniker that they use. Because one side's like, Black Lives Matter. It's it means that we can't really reach a good place until everyone starts to put value on Black lives. We stop to, start not, immediately having a prejudice or a sense of uncomfort with, black people in situations that, require any form of assistance. So I guess with cops, with blacks, that's been the whole thing. And, it really comes down to, do you think, the actions of the cops was based off of, the guy's race? Because he was black, he was a little bit more alert. He, acted in ways he probably wouldn't have if he wasn't a black guy, because he had his predisposed notions, or maybe even just a blatant prejudices.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Derek Chauvin,
that's his name.
His name is Chauvin, so he's a few letters away from chauvinist.
Yeah, I mean that's a dead giveaway, guys.
Basically,
come on,
right fucking there. So the guy probably didn't have pretty strong moral values, if I had to guess. But I think that what happened with him, the dude put his knee on someone's neck for 9 straight minutes. So it's kind of hard to judge if it was completely racist or if he was just a generally bad guy. But
well, I think what's obvious is that, in terms of everything about that, it's and I think multiple people agree, this isn't even one that's argument. What he did was wrong.
Yeah.
What he did was definitely a violation of human rights.
Yeah.
I guess the argument now is, was there, a racial part of it? Because there's people, like I said, with the all lives, let's say the all lives matter, or anyone who on the other side who want to kind of move it away from race, they're like, let's make it what it is. It's not a black versus white thing. It's a thing of, this was a more just a moral or immoral thing that any person can do to another human being.
Right.
Which is, that's correct. That is baseline what it is, but does it go deeper than that?
Right.
It's the part people get split.
As we've seen, it goes quite a bit deeper.
Yeah.
It goes deeply into the whole fucking country, apparently.
True.
Shit, there's a lot of shit going on.
Do you think the riots are warranted?
I think the riots are, so I think the protests were certainly warranted.
Yeah.
But I think the riots that sprouted out of the protests are detracting from the point of the protests.
Getting the message.
Do I think that they're warranted? No, but I think that partially they're necessary, because you can make a lot of noise as long as that noise is directed at something positive, which I think the noise is directed at something positive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would say, with anything, inherently, the idea of rioting and destroying property, okay, yeah, because that'll be an argument for the other side. They'll be but there's rioting, people are losing businesses, people's personal property is getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, inherently, rioting is a bad thing, but I guess to determine whether it's warranted or necessary for change will only come about after, we'll only know in the outcome if there will be change. If change comes about because of it, then you can say yeah, maybe there was value to it.
Right.
But if not, then that lends to the idea that maybe that wasn't the best way to go about getting the message across, because it clearly wasn't received.
Right.
So I think that's what it really comes down to. It's yet to be seen whether or not it's warranted. Might not be the best way to get the message across, but like I said, if you've tried everything else, in the long scheme of things, this is just kind of another way of just trying to get it out there. So like I said, we'll see if it has a benefit.
Mm-hmm. I think that we're not really going to know the outcome until there is an outcome. There's no outcome. The protests are still happening. The riots are still happening. Things are still extremely charged with all this emotion. So it's hard to really step back and look at it and see what's going on.
Yeah, and it's not the first time in history there's been riots. It really... It, like I said, it always depends on what comes about afterwards. Yeah. But,
and I've been pretty...
That's just what it really is.
In knowing my history. I don't know enough of the history of the riots. I didn't actually... I'm ashamed to say it, but I didn't know they had riots in, 1992 or some shit. In California, they had riots... I think it was with the Koreans. I don't know if it was a different issue, though, but there have apparently been a lot of riots where there have been just, tens of thousands of people showing up to support black people.
Yeah.
And or to not support cops. So it seems like those are the two clearly drawn sides. We grew up on "fuck the police," I guess, hearing that
Is it on
just
music?
In passing. So it's hard to know if is it a police issue or is it a race issue? Is it a police issue or is it a white issue?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Where do police fall in all of this? Because I hear it depends on where you're looking, but you hear a lot of, and this goes to what the overall goal is. Do we want police reform or in terms of training protocol, or are we just trying to change, the mentality of the cops, which I guess, that's not too much with the training. That falls on the individual.
Right.
Now, obviously, there are good cops. I think, honestly, and this is my opinion, you don't have to agree with me. I think there's more good cops than there are bad cops. Like, probably overwhelmingly. Like, you couldn't have a stable system. Like, we wouldn't have cops if everyone was fucking corrupt to that extent. I don't think that would be possible. There'd be mayhem constantly. Mm-hmm. But, like I said, you have those cops that, that get into it for the wrong reason. I actually have my brother's a cop. I have law enforcement in my family, so. Right. And I think he's a good guy, and he got into it for the right reason. I think that's what matters, because there's a lot of people that don't.
It might even be that people don't know that they have different reasons they can join. Like some people just join like, I want to serve. Right?
Yeah,
I want to protect.
I like to truly believe in justice. I want to serve. I want to make it a good my area a good place. I want to help people.
Right, but I think that's one of those things where you kind of see that when you kind of notice that when So, like, if there's a police officer that I don't know, like, for example, that sheriff that started, like, kneeling and hanging out with all the protesters. Do you see that online?
Yeah, I saw that.
In that case, that guy seemed like he was a police officer because he actually gave a fuck. Like, I don't know. Like, when I see the examples of the police officers actually joining into the protests and kind of melding in and making a nice statement, I guess, using their own personal history, because like they're gonna catch a lot of shit for sure, all right? Like, I'm assuming that those police officers aren't only getting love. Like, there's probably some dude sitting there like, man, those people aren't real cops because they're not fucking stopping the protesters, they're joining in.
Yeah.
So
and you know what, I'd say, like, when it comes to why you would join, there's a lot of people I've seen, or like just come across, that they want to get into it. And what I mean by the wrong reasons for wanting to be a cop is the people that get into it for the power. The ones that get into it because, like, I just want to hold a gun.
Yeah, the Denzel Washingtons of the world.
Yeah. They just want to be able to tell people what to do, or just, like, want to hold a gun. And, it's like, okay, the cause is noble, but, like, your mentality doesn't mesh up with it, because that's only going to lead to problems, because you're not really out to help anyone. You're more so out to just, essentially bully people.
Yeah, just take advantage of people as often as possible, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because as a police officer, you have the right to do that almost.
It is
pretty much
written there. There's ways there's ways to do it.
Yeah, but the choice is not doing that, I guess, and some cops just don't really know how to make that choice. And that becomes more than a race issue, I think, right? Because once you just think about it, like, okay, so a police officer has a lot of power. And a white person, or it doesn't even, I guess honestly it doesn't, like, if you have two black people and one of them's a cop, the cop is obviously the one with more authority in that situation, right? Yeah, so
it's a power issue.
Yeah, straight up power struggle, man. It's like fucking watching a Marvel movie almost.
There's I don't think Iron Man's like just blasting into people.
Iron Man's just blasting people with tear gas. Iron Man should have fucking tear gas and rubber bullets. That's what the next fucking.
Yeah, right.
Now that he's dead, he's gonna come back.
He's just gonna come back a fucking civil servant. Yeah. But I guess
civil servant.
Depending on how long we want to linger on this. I guess the last thing I'll bring up is and I touched on it earlier. I don't know if he really answered it, but with the whole, what do you think the overall end goal is? Because I can't tell right now what it's for. I know there's a lot of protests, and I know at the end of the day, there's more protesters than I say riot. We're always going to see the riots and the bad part of it, but I think there's a lot of genuine people out there that are doing it for a good cause. Aside from some people are doing it for clout.
Yeah, some people are definitely in it for the clout.
Yeah, I see a lot of Instagram models out there with a camera like suspiciously below their chest with their signs. It's like, nah.
Like, well, those are some nice tits. I guess black lives do matter.
Yeah, I agree with her. She seems I don't know why, man, but I'm just captivated by her fucking protesting.
Yeah, her opinion has never meant more. Fucking white tits matter. But to answer your question, I think that there's probably two motivations. Like, one of the main motivations is probably honestly the vote. Like, black people want to encourage other black people to vote for Joe Biden, and I'm personally not fucking I don't want to talk about my vote here, but
I would say well, generally I don't want to be like into politics, because I mean that's one of those things, like, no matter how well you explain yourself, if you're just on the other viewpoint, then you're already already wrong in their eyes.
Well, my issue is that I don't know a fucking single thing about Joe Biden. Like, what's going on? Like, there's been so much campaigning, but I can't remember who the fuck this dude is. Like,
hey, I don't think Joe Biden can remember who he is.
Joe Biden's just fucking sleepy, dude. He doesn't know what's going on. He's lost.
Shit, I want to bash Joe. But, I couldn't resist. That one's right there.
I don't know much about him, so I can't really bash him. I'm just bashing the fact that I don't know who the fuck he is, man.
Mm-hmm.
But, that being said, I'm not saying I'm going to vote for Trump or anything, all right? Let's fucking really...
He's like, everyone calm down, all right? No one said anything. It's a lot we're not saying.
Yeah, man. Politics. Actually, let's watch this video of this lady pole dancing for the Lord.
What a segue.
Yeah. Speaking of Joe Biden, so as you can see, she's in full hooker gear. There are children present.
Is this a church?
Yeah, this is, well, honestly, I don't know the setting. I don't know exactly where they're at.
Okay. There's a lot of kids there.
There's too many kids for someone pole dancing for God.
Her legs are awfully far apart. Alright, well, let's see what's going on.
If I was a kid, I would think this was...
obviously, as a young male, I would definitely be like, this is kind of cool. If I was one of the kids there. But whether or not it's, I guess...
when you think about it, she kind of looks like Jesus,
Yeah, right?
Yeah, the way she's gliding
nice,
around that
tan,
pole,
feminine Jesus.
Pole.
You're going to offend a lot of Christians, Steve. That blasphemy. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was sarcasm.
Oh, wow.
Jesus wasn't a woman, alright?
Well, wait a second. There's some people that think maybe God could be a woman.
Some people think Jesus was
an alien?
A Mexican person, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone just wants Jesus to fit their idea. But, yeah, her dress fell off, and there's still a lot of kids there.
Hey, none of those kids have left. This dude's really into it.
Yeah, he's like... he's like, this is the best day. Like, when my wife told me, hey, you gotta go to your kid's stupid thing, I was like, fuck, but now he's pretty happy to be there.
Imagine being the one husband that didn't show up to church this week. Like, he's like, fuck it, I'm staying home. I've had enough.
Man, you go to the bar with all your friends being like, bro, you should have been at church last week.
Like, oh, Stacy? Yeah, she was praising the Lord, baby.
I think she was one of the teachers.
This is really acrobatic, actually.
No, she's good at what she's doing. It's just a weird, I guess, setting to have it happen.
Well, maybe we're in the wrong because we're sexualizing this obviously non-sexual thing.
Yeah.
Right?
There's nothing sexually about the female body.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
There's nothing but this obviously experienced stripper dancing around the pole. There's nothing sexual about that at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, that wasn't. Well, that was a good mood breaker.
Yeah,
right
that was
there.
a good refresher from politics.
Yeah, fucking
man.
Politics, man.
Yeah, fuck politics.
And I think that's all we gotta say on that one. Well, let me try to ask you about this because it's hot as hell out right now.
Yeah, it's steaming.
It took till June to get hot.
Yeah.
But it's finally hot. Stores are opening up, and you know what that means, right? Karens are back in full fucking force.
Karen.
Now, if you guys don't know what a Karen is, I don't know if you want to get an Urban Dictionary definition. I don't have it. If you want to look it up real quick.
Yeah, sure, I'll look it up.
I'll tell you what I think a Karen is because I worked in sales before, and I currently work in a service where we have to deal with people, and you get a lot of Karens. Karens are basically just usually middle-aged white women.
Okay.
But they can be any middle-aged white woman, but she has to be a woman. Usually. And they have particular hairstyle, but that's not the point. The point is they're always complaining about something.
Right.
They basically are the biggest victims of first world problems.
Like they're just taking massive L's.
Yeah, it's constantly
proportion, just the tiniest proportion of L's.
The biggest thing I'd say they have in common is that they're always fucking disgruntled about something. They're always taking it out on a fucking service worker or just a random person. It depends on the setting, but God, they are awful. And Here's the Urban Dictionary definition.
We got it. Karen gives raisins to kids on Halloween. What a bitch.
What a fucking bitch.
Karen drives an SUV to carpool her kids to soccer practice.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Better hope the ref doesn't make a wrong call because she will sue.
She'll be the bitch running out on the field, fucking tackling the kid that fucking slick kick her child.
Right. After a long day of talking to managers and driving her kids around, she sits down with her mom friends at book club and drinks lots and lots of wine.
You know, I bet she does yoga too in her spare time.
Yeah, Karen, man. Karen's probably a real fucking good, good lay, though. You know, Karen's probably great in bed. That's why she's so angry all the time.
Right? She's the one to clean the bets out of her fucking...
Actually, I have a video of a Karen we could watch.
Oh, beautiful.
I doubt that stripper...
Oh, before we watch the video, though, Steve, tell me, have you had any experiences with a... sexual or non-sexual, whatever you want, with a Karen, like any interaction with one?
Like a real-life Karen.
Yeah.
I think. Well, shit. I mean, I've met plenty of Karens.
Like a lady named Karen or an actual Karen?
No, actually, I feel like I've never met an actual woman named Karen, unfortunately. Like, I've been seeing the meme, and I've met a lot of people, but I don't know any Karens in real life. But I have met an actual Karen that was not named Karen. So she was a Karen, but not really a Karen.
Yeah, like the authentic Karen, a modern-day Karen.
Yeah, so, this Karen, well, let me try to think, because I've met more than one.
So how do you not need a towel, by the way?
Oh, because I just have hair that holds all my fucking sweat.
Oh,
it's not good. It's
okay.
Just, my hair's not moist enough to let any moisture out.
I think I'm sweating out my perm. My sweet moistness. Go ahead, Karen.
I'm trying to think of a good example of a Karen, but shit.
You want me to go first?
I
got one off
definitely.
the riff.
I got to cue one up.
Okay, and it was while I was at work, so, I've stated this once before on the podcast, but I'll state it again because... In case you didn't know.
You didn't watch that one.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, go watch that one. You should go check out all of our stuff.
I'll link it somewhere on this or something.
There you go. But I was at the airport working at the TSA, so we were in line, and basically, we work at a non-pre-check terminal in the morning, so you can't get pre-check. Pre-check basically means that when you're going through the screening process, you can keep your shoes on, usually your electronics, and yeah, that's it. Shoes and electronics.
Right.
Saves you about 5 seconds. But, if you don't have pre-check, God forbid, you got to take some of that stuff out. But anyway, we get a lady come through. Our checkpoint, because it's not pre-check, we let you keep your shoes on if you have it, but you still got to take the electronics out.
Okay.
So this fucking lady, she goes to the little thing, guy gives her a ticket saying, all right, you got pre-check, go ahead and have this little ticket here. And it's a printout. It's not a legal document. It's a printout, so we let people know what their job is. It says you can, keep your shoes on, but you do have to take out your electronics. She goes around to the line. I'm standing there. I'm actually on the other side. I see it happening. She puts her stuff out, and the guy's like, ma'am, you got to take out your electronics. And she's just like sitting there flabbergasted, just completely taken aback, like, what do you mean? And, it's like, well, you keep your shoes on, I get your pre-check, but, you have to take your electronics. It's in a pre-check line. And she's like, huh? Well, that's I don't understand that. I've never had this happen before. She's just, just like, oh, I've flown before. This never happened to me. Right. And it's like, well, I mean, this is a different, terminal. Things are different. And, she's like, it's just funny. She's just standing there in silence. Like, she's just really shocked. Right. Like, what? I this, and then, then she catches an attitude with the guy. She's like, well, I don't, this is outrageous. I have never. Then she like starts slamming your shit down.
Outrage.
Yeah, she goes through. And she's like, you know what? And she's like, I get it. You guys aren't following your own rules now. And I'm like, what, ma'am? It said, read the paper. She reads the paper wrong. She reads it and she says, like, I don't have to take out my, I don't have to take out my electronics. Excited. Yeah, she's so excited. And then he pointed out, like, no, it says right here. And even then, she's still pissed. She's like, I've never had this happen before. And so she goes ahead and she's like, I want to take a picture of that, so I could, fucking get back to you and, call a manager or something and show him that you guys aren't following your own rules. Even though he told her, like, the rule says it right here.
Right.
But, she takes a picture. She's like, you're not following your legal documents. And once again, he's like, man, this is a printout. There's nothing legal about this.
You got this off your fucking Gmail account.
Yeah, I could have wrote this on your hand. Like, it's the same thing. So, yeah, she got really pissed, and that happened, and, she went away upset, and, we just laugh at it, because, we see this shit every day, but I'm just like, man, some people just can't change. Well, sometimes a Karen just has to Karen.
I think my best Karen story is probably just any woman that ever brought a child to a comedy club. Like, just being in a comedy club, and then you see someone with their child, and they're like, yeah, well, my kid's 12, and we talk a lot of shit around him, so I think he's ready for this. And then every comedian in the room has to figure out how to navigate the fact that there's a child in the front row of the goddamn audience who just doesn't even know what a pussy is, but now he's going to hear a bunch of stuff about them and how much I want to be inside of them, which is pretty unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my best Karen story. I'm not really good at telling Karen stories. I don't have too many.
Oh, that's fine.
But now let's watch this quick little Karen
Who
video.
needs stories when we have actual footage?
And go.
Why are you blocking the car?
I'm leaving. Get the fuck out my way. I'm picking him up. I came to pick him up. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Trespassing what?
Trespassing.
Trespassing what?
Why are you
Trespassing
trespassing?
what?
Why are you trespassing?
Trespassing
This
what?
is a.
Where you don't
Hey,
belong
hey,
to
get out
be
the way.
fucking
Hey, get
Man, you don't belong here,
I
buddy.
can buy any car here I want to buy. What is you talking about? What is you talking about?
Oh, this is some real world star shit.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
He's buying a whip.
Hey, nobody giving you no problems. We trying to leave.
I'm like, what is she
Hey,
complaining
don't
about
get y'all
exactly?
homies, bro.
Are they just accusing her of being a thief?
Yeah, like, is she just trying to kick him out? Like, yeah, he hasn't done anything really. He's just like, I don't think you should be
I
here.
want to smack the fuck out you, dog.
He ain't having it though.
Hey, just get out.
Get out.
Move.
That's not even a black guy.
Touch you. Move. Bro, is this our homie?
Don't touch me.
Bro.
Are we gonna watch this
move
woman
around.
get beat?
Don't touch me.
Move around.
Don't touch me.
We ain't gonna touch you. We know you gonna press
trespassing?
charges. You trespassing too. You own this motherfucker?
Yeah.
You own it?
Maybe I
Where
fucking-
you
That's her car.
You don't with them dirty ass feet.
Maybe
You
I
don't.
fucking
With the ashy ass knees.
Get on somewhere, bro.
No.
Hey, just back the car up. Just back the car and pull out, bro.
No.
What is she? I want to know the context. I'm not 100%
I'm not
sure.
even sure what's
Just back
happening
this
really.
motherfucker up. You know her? Move her around.
Why is this dude wearing a hijab?
Maybe he's Muslim?
No, men don't wear those.
Oh, actually, how we know it's not a woman?
Go.
Well, I don't know what's happening really.
This whole altercation is confused. Oh, it's COVID.
Oh,
Is that why?
that could, yeah, that
That
makes
guy's
sense.
wearing the Mexican
Yeah, he-
flag as a fucking coat. So
Yeah.
everything is just weird in this video. I don't know.
We're in the fucking Twilight Zone, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess nothing makes sense right now.
Stupid bitch.
Bitch, I'll smack the fuck out of
She's
you.
gonna follow him.
Touch me.
Fucking ass.
Touch me.
You're a fucking
Duh, she almost said the N word.
Whoa.
Knock your ass out. I promise you. It ain't what
You
want.
stupid fucking.
Fuck your husband up. Fuck with me. Touch me. Touch me.
How did we get into it is my question, but this is funny.
Touch me.
You just said it.
Touch me.
You just said it.
Bro, get your wife, bro.
You just said it.
There's like 7 different characters that's introduced. A guy with a fucking whole hijab looking thing, a guy wearing a Mexican flag, this random white dude. So yeah, that was Karen's. That was a Karen, I guess.
What do you think the worst job that? Because this, by the way, this is an advice show now, so we're giving advice, and that's where these questions are coming from. I stole them from Reddit,
Yeah.
so I didn't come up with these.
We're not that clever.
Yeah. So what do you think is the worst job to have in 2020? And goddamn it, you can't say police officer.
I'm not even gonna say police officer. You know what I'm gonna fucking say? I'm gonna say, and it's funny, 'cause this is something I thought about before, and I was just like, I don't want to be a fucking janitor.
Okay.
Because who the fuck's gonna clean all this shit up when it's all said and done?
Right. Imagine being a street janitor in
You know,
Chicago right now.
like-
That shit would suck.
Like, just in general, like, I guess, being a janitor is pretty rough, but I'm like, now it's the worst. I'm like, okay, you these stores, the fucking litter, the trash, all that shit, once it's all said and done, everyone's looking at each other like, boy, that was crazy, huh? That janitor's gonna be pissed the fuck off.
Right.
Like, I gotta clean all this shit up.
Like, imagine the janitor at the protest. The janitor's probably at the protest. He's probably one of the dudes trying to stop people from, like,
Yeah, I know, I'm going there, come on.
Like, come on, man.
I gotta clean this, come on, please.
Oh, that's one video. Did you see that one video? The guy, like that homeless dude, he got his fucking, his trash abode burned down. I don't know what do you call it. What do you call a homeless
I'm
person's
confused.
house?
Oh, he had his little litter hut
he was
burnt
on
down,
the-
I guess.
Yeah.
Litter
Yeah, I
hut.
guess, that's something you can call it. Yeah, this guy, I mean, it was really sad. It's sad, but I'm laughing.
But we're gonna laugh at it,
Yeah.
right?
So-
It was wrong. You know what you were coming into, you
Yeah.
click. Let's not lie.
But it's basically being used by a lot of conservative people to try and make the protests look pretty bad. But homeless guy.
Yeah, riots tend to do that, fortunately. Actually, I think there's a very fucking no hostages mentality going on. It seems like.
Yeah.
But I mean, is it? I don't know. Is it like I don't think it's opportunists doing this though. I don't think it's like people who really care one way or another.
Yeah.
It usually it's just like the people who are just like, oh boy, this is a perfect time to get some free shit and fucking fuck some shit up.
Yeah, there's plenty of people just capitalizing. Like, they're going hard.
Yeah.
Like, when you see, like, the fact for me is that it's fucking weird that you see people stealing lamps. Why are so many people out there stealing lamps?
I don't know, man.
I feel like that shames the movement so significantly.
I think it comes from the fact, like, when does anyone turn down free shit?
Right.
Like, even if someone was giving you, like, a free, I don't know, paperweight, you'd still take it.
Yeah.
You don't, like, I didn't, what the fuck you use a paperweight for? I don't even read, but, you know, I'd take it.
Imagine if you...
I mean, if they were giving it.
Right, if it was free.
I wouldn't steal it.
Yeah, I would never break into a Target and steal 13 paperweights, all right? I mean, I've never done that, and I would never...
That seems like a waste of a theft, honestly.
Yeah, but, you know, Target... I don't know why... why is Target the main offender in all
Because
this?
it has a big target on its head.
Oh my god, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, there we go.
Probably it, actually. You're like, well, let's just go... let's just go to Target and fuck it up.
Something about that fucking target is calling me to it.
There's something about the Target that just makes you want to throw things. Right? Like, Walmart hasn't seen any damage, has it? Probably has.
I would be shocked if it hasn't, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, who would want to go to a... Maybe because the prices are so low. They're like, you know, it's practically a steal anyway. I don't know. Is this video going to load?
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sad that it's not working. I don't know what the fuck. Probably going to have 50 tabs open.
Probably.
While this video loads,
You're
I'll
overworking
go ahead
your
and
computer.
just posit another question.
All right, let's do
If
it.
you get hit by a car, what's the best way to absorb the impact?
Uh,
I would say ass first. Definitely. Definitely let it hit you right in the ass.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll bounce off. You got a 50.
yeah, you'll break your tailbone and you'll never sit again.
Or your spine and you die.
Yeah, that one too. The best way to absorb an impact. I was gonna say like fucking tuck and roll, but that's not absorbing it. That's like after the fact. I'd say, you know, if you're a really big guy, you could probably, you know, tank that shit with your stomach.
Okay.
You know, you're a really fat guy.
If you're just the fattest dude ever,
Yeah.
you can just bounce off.
I'd say I don't even watch football, so I'm just gonna use a term and hope it fucking relates. Get in that linebacker position where you're ready to fucking tank that with your shoulder, maybe.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I would
Because
say,
maybe you can push it back. You know, that'd be a lucky moment.
Position? Yeah, I guess that is a linebacker position.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, so you just want to drive your shoulder. you
Drive your
want to
shoulder.
drive your shoulder and
Right into the
collarbone
bumper.
directly into the bumper and try to go head to head with the thing.
Yeah.
And if you fucking live, you're gonna become a superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually how it works.
I saw Superman. I saw some villain or hero do that in a movie. We just fucking stood there while a train blew right through him. Just tore the middle of it like right in half.
Yeah, now he's a ghost.
He died later, but it was really cool.
All right, how would you feel if a woman gave you a single flower just because?
Flattered.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a pretty simple answer. I would probably feel, I'd be like, wow, that's confusing.
Actually,
maybe she's an assassin though, and she's trying to kill you. You ever think about that?
It could be. It's poisonous flower. It's a Joker flower. Make you laugh yourself to death. It's got acid in it.
Oh, did you see the Joker?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
that movie was fantastic. Let's just sidebar into a Joker conversation.
Oh, you want to do that? Because I was actually going to jump off this question with a slightly better one.
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's
All
hear
right.
it.
Yeah, and I think Joker's kind of maybe a little bit dated. The Oscars happened.
Yeah, there's a whole. Now it's happening in real life. So
Yeah,
I don't know about it. Yeah.
There, before I get to the question, there was actually a guy dressed up as Joker in like the street or something,
Holy
like
shit.
fucking reenacting the scene.
Wow, I saw Batman.
Yeah, I wonder if he came to kick Joker's ass. Where is he?
Well, everyone knows that Joker would win, and I heard that Joker in that movie isn't the real Joker. They say that he
Yeah,
inspires the real Joker.
There's a lot of theories. He's either like inspired him, or it's just like a standalone Joker. I don't know. I like to think that they all kind of relate canonically, so I would love it if he was the one that inspired him.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. What was your question though?
Yeah, so it's a question. What would you? Let's say you're dating a girl for a few months, all right? Let's say you're like not even a few months. Let's say you're like a year and a half in, all right?
That's pretty long for me, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're a year and a half in. Let's say you decide, you know what, time to get this fast lifestyle back on track and settle down, be a man. All right, and she decides to surprise you with a proposal.
Ooh.
She gets down. She takes you to a public restaurant, gets down on one knee, and proposes to you.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
I would just tape my balls back and tape my dick to my belly button, and I would just say yes, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm a cuck.
I
mean, it depends on where I'm at in life. Honestly, that's a tough question because, a year and a half for the proposal.
Well, I don't know. Let's say you're getting up there in years.
Well, yeah. If there's a woman proposing to me, I would assume that we've had a much
more longer relationship than a year and a half.
For a while.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, the general question is the girl, you're probably already planning to propose to, decide she's going to propose to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, would that feel a little bit emasculating? Would you really be all right with that? Be honest, Steve. We're talking the truth here.
I guess
it's okay to be a traditionalist.
It would be slightly emasculating. I wouldn't feel too great about it. But
Yeah, see, asking the hard questions.
Yeah, you're asking a real tough one here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's hard to know. What's your answer? What do you think?
What do you think, tough guy? Huh?
For this?
After all this hard shit. I mean, I'll be honest. You know, if the situation happened, I mean, I wouldn't want to embarrass her, especially if I like her. Of course, I'd say yes. But I mean, preferably, I would like to be the one. I mean, I'm not a traditionalist like to a crazy extent, but that's probably something that I would prefer to be the one to do.
Yeah. Well. Fuck yeah. Obviously, I would prefer that way.
Yeah.
It depends on the context. Like, if a woman invited all of her friends and her family and my friends to this event for us to get married, and then she proposes to me, I would feel, emasculated.
You gotta feel like a bitch.
Perfect word for that. I would feel like a real fucking pussy right now.
I mean, like I said, same context. Like I said, I put on the smile, I put on the show, I make everyone feel like, yeah, thank you, honey, love you too. But I mean, I definitely feel some type of way. I wouldn't feel very like, I don't know. I'd have to talk to her after that. Like, come on, like, really?
Yeah, I would really.
You've known me for this long, and you didn't think that would make me feel kind of weird.
Like, you know that I'm a man.
I don't know if I should marry you now. This is kind of crazy. You know,
man.
It just really depends. How's that video coming along?
Oh shit.
Check out that. That guy's a big beard. God, it's hot here.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's just like it really grabs you by the emotions. This video, whenever it loads, let's just wait eternity.
Steve, you said you're working on a video.
I'm working on a video. Yeah, I want to make some videos to capitalize on all this fucking media. Just all this media outlook. No, that's not why. But I want to make some. I don't know. I feel like now's the time to make something funny. Like, now's the time to make something funny.
Cheer some people up.
It's hard to be funny right now. It really is. It's hard to, like, even in this podcast, like, we started off talking about the police.
We like the tone of this podcast. I mean, contrary to, like, the last two episodes we did, it's definitely start off with more of a, like, topical tone. Mm-hmm. And, I'm all right with that. I don't think every podcast has to be like, let's, keep joking. I mean, I would like to make jokes, liven the mood, but, like, sometimes it's going to be like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's fucking, the times right now are literally like everything you see on social media is blacked out screens, protests, where you can go to do this, where you can go to do that.
With the whole blacked out screens thing, I don't even know if I'm allowed to post as a black person. Am I supposed to post? Or what do I do?
I think all black people are posting.
Oh, well, because that was another thing. We should talk about that shit. Yeah. Because the whole social media blackout movement was, it was, at first I didn't understand it. I didn't know what the fuck was happening.
Blackout Tuesday.
Then I thought about it. And I was like, well, I guess it is a pretty good sign of solidarity between the group. But then I was backtracked by all the people posting that, well, we shouldn't have a movement for black people to not post during this critical time.
Yeah.
So actually, you should be making posts on the internet, and you should have your profile picture and shit. So.
You know what? The funny thing to every movement, and I think a modern day movement is always going to be complex because, like, you get more feedback from a lot more groups of people. And I mean, I've seen most people on the side of, putting on the post of, like, Blackout Tuesday, solidarity. But then I've seen some people either say, like, don't do it because it represents something else. Mm-hmm. And then I've had people that are like, don't shame people who don't post it. And I'm just like, okay, so I guess what's the general idea? Like, no matter what you do, you're good? Because in that case, I mean, and I think this is that human nature. Like, if you're given any option, you choose the path of least resistance. If I can do nothing, it's be fine, great. I'll do nothing. But, it's like I still want to be, somewhat, involved or knowledgeable about what's happening.
Right.
But, yeah, I guess last thing I guess with the, unless you want to say something else.
Well, I was just no, you can go ahead.
Okay. So what do you think's the outcome? What do you see happening?
Man, I think that it's gonna be a weird couple months. We're gonna have a couple weird.
It's gonna be a weird.
It's hard. Decade. I mean, it's hard to fucking decide. Like, it's hard to figure out like what I think would happen, just because it might be. I don't know. Like, shit, for a lot of people, it feels like the end of the world, man. It feels like this is the apocalypse.
Yeah, this is what 2012 was striving to be.
I think that what's going to end up happening is, there's going to be a lot of people that have a really changed outlook on the world. Like their worldview is going to be different forever because there's people that are learning that they were racist their entire lives. There are people that are confirming that they weren't racist. Like some people, I can feel that there's a tension on the internet. Like there's some people that don't even know whether or not they're racist. Yeah. Like, they're like, oh, well, what the fuck? These underlying racial tendencies. Like there's like, I've been seeing charts and lists of different things, like different ways that people can be categorized and racist. And I'm like, fuck, I fall in some of these. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh, this video finally turned on.
All right. I'll say mine after this video, I guess.
I'll just pause it. Go ahead.
All right, sweet. So, here's my thing. It really all depends on what the bottom line goal of all this is really supposed to be. Is it police reform? And, the idea that all this is going to be solved, like you won't have any of these similar issues arriving as long as we reform the police. And then I guess the question after that is, what does that mean? Do you want to... I've heard people say they want to take guns away. I've heard a lot of people say it, but I've heard a few where you have cops like they have in England, which I don't think that's going to solve the problem. I don't think... Because, essentially, like, George Floyd, that incident wasn't gun related. That was a person that was... someone using physical violence. That was a man in a knee. He used to take him out. And, that just comes from, I think, more of a mentality. So I don't think, like the training or, reforming, like any guidelines with the police are really going to have too much of an effect because, I mean, there's other cops that will agree that, like, what he did was wrong, immoral, which shows that, well, in a general sense, that if he's wrong to other cops, and that they say this goes against their policy, then it's not a policy issue, it's a person issue. So how do you change people's mentalities? And I think that's really the root of it. Like, how do we get to reach people in that sense? And I don't really think there's a way to do it. And I think one of the ways that's going to keep from having that happen is further, that further racial divide that tends to happen when these protests happen. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with having, like I said, a movement to encourage, bolster a race and, their issues and put it at the forefront. But how it's done is really what determines if it's going to work.
Where do you think the divide starts? Like, I see most people say it's Trump, obviously. Like, that's pretty much all of the news.
Yeah.
But do you think the divide do you think it actually starts at Trump, or do you think it starts just like at the ground level? Like,
I think it starts with people understanding whether or not they want to categorize this as a racial issue or not. I think that fundamentally there's a group of people, like, I think everyone, like I said, agrees that this was a wrong thing. But was it wrong in the sense that it was a white person attacking a black man, or was it wrong in the sense that this human being killed another human being, and that's as far as it goes? And I think that's where you get the divide, where the All Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter movement, and I think there's a confusion to it as well, because All Lives Matter, like that side of the conversation, where they're like, yes, it's wrong, but let's not make it a racial issue, is either, kind of refusing to acknowledge the fact that played a role, which, I personally would say, like, this is a country a country that's founded on certain, like, ideas is always going to have some form of that entrenched into how people carry themselves. So, like, there's definitely, it's definitely have to be a racial part into it, unless, to the extent that, like, I'm not saying everyone has it. I think everyone has, like, implicit bias, and that's formed over time. But, a situation like that, I think, was more likely to occur between a black man and a white man simply because of, like, the historical lines. And I think that's what they're trying to address. Like, how do we curve that prejudice, that's implicitly there in society?
That was a really articulate way to describe that. Yeah.
Oh, appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that, that's fucking...
It's like, I was wrong on that right now.
Like, dude, you really fucking took the wind out of my sails there. I can't fucking... Yeah, no, like that makes perfect sense. I think that there's that's a great answer.
How you follow it up?
Shit. There's what about the whole, so there's All Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, but then there's Blue Lives Matter, which is a bit of on the fringe.
That one's funny to me, because there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but I think that's not the issue right now, because if you're on the side of Blue Lives Matter, I get it. Like I said, I have cops in my family. I think their lives matter too. It's just like, I think that's kind of diverting the issue, and you either have two types of people that either kind of take that stance at a time like this. You either have the tunnel-minded people that are just so focused on like doubling down on their beliefs and having this unwavering, undying support for law enforcement that you refuse to see any other issue.
Right. That's
because
they're cops. They have to be good.
Yes,
that's basically
exactly
some people's opinion when they say Blue Lives Matter.
And I'm like, okay, I get that, but you see, the thing is, if you have time to speak up and say like Blue Lives Matter too, we shouldn't take this out on all cops. That's perfectly fine. I agree. We shouldn't take this out on all cops. This is one cop who did something bad. But if you're really that down for the cops like that, and you have the time to speak on how you feel about how cops are treated, maybe give a second of that time to acknowledge the faults in some cops are doing as well. Because that's the issue. A cop killed a man.
Right.
So
blatantly,
instead of saying like, hey guys, let's chill on the cops, maybe say like, hey guys, I get, cops are good people. Let's not take it out on them. But I do understand that there's a mentality issue in the force that needs to be addressed. Address both sides. Because just saying that makes it sound like you're dismissing everything else because you are really just gung-ho on, just like your love of authority. And like I said, that there's nothing wrong with it, but it's reading between the lines that tells me that there's something else going on in your mind.
Right.
Yeah. Any add-ons with that?
No, let's watch this guy's house burn.
Awesome.
And then we'll go back to it. Oh, it's loading again. All right, well.
All right, now you got to speak.
Yeah, now I got to talk about it. Well, so I think that the whole Blue Lives Matter, so yeah, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. I think that when you approach it from from just a general perspective, the people that yell Blue Lives Matter the loudest, they seem to be completely averse to the idea that there are people that are rioting right now with good intentions. They see a riot as a affront. Like when I see videos of people spitting in the face of police officers and shit, or like yelling at the military or whatever, that shit is kind of just I don't really understand why they're just blatantly disrespecting people just on the streets for no reason really. But fuck, man. How do you police people that are like, can you really like, because I see like there's thousands of people protesting and rioting but only 250 arrests, 300 arrests, so I'm assuming that's just that just makes the cops really pissed. It just pisses them off a lot more, makes it harder for them to process. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Just kind of going off on something, just lost your whole trail of thought.
I think this light is just confusing me.
It's fucking fried our brains.
Yeah, dude, my brain's fucking smoked right now from that.
Yeah, how about this? Let's narrow it down one more time. And I guess I asked you how you think it's gonna turn out. What would you like to see come from this?
I would like to see. What would I like to see? Give me a more specific question.
Okay.
Like, so what would I like to see come from what?
Yeah,
what part of this? Because there's a whole lot of shit going on.
There is a lot of shit. I guess from the whole. I guess here's a good way to narrow it down. What's your solution? What would you say if you have the power to instate one rule that you think is gonna fix this, or if you could guide people in a way to change their idea or outlook on the situation, like you could get on a podium and say like, hey guys, here's what I think needs to happen. What's your idea solution? I
think that we need to get organized, man. Like I think that specifically Black people need to get organized. We need to actually, in
the sense of we need to do X, Y, and Z, or we need to stop doing X, Y, and Z.
I think we need to. It's got to be a combination of both. But we need to do X, Y, and Z. We need people to protest. Okay. We don't necessarily need people to riot.
Okay.
And we need people to organize the communities and actually plan for the future. Like, what are we going to do after all of this?
Yeah.
And I think that one possible option would be to just go to the police stations actually and try to make your voice heard there. Like, why burn down the city when you can go to the police station and just talk to them? You could show up right at the police station and have the whole kneeling. You can go kneel at a police station. That probably makes more sense than kneeling in front of a target.
But what do you say to the people who say like, they did that with, the whole Colin Kaepernick, and when that was a movement that was going strong and no one listened, it didn't do anything?
I think that it did a lot. I think that movement got a lot of people informed. Like a lot of people were on the side of Colin Kaepernick, and the word got spread.
But here's the thing, though, Steve. You could say that, but then let's say I don't know how many years ago that was, but now you have this black man being killed by the cops. Did it really help? Was there really a change, or was there, was it just like?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Was it just like just more empty words at the end of the day?
Well, shit, man. I think that
yeah. Let's solve the issue now. I think we can figure it out.
Yeah, what can we fucking do about this? God damn it.
I think we have the answers. You tuned into the right place.
Yeah. So from my fucking caveman perspective, I think that there's probably it's probably two sides of it. Like, we are making progress, right?
Yep.
Like, yeah, a black man was killed. George Floyd was killed in a heinous way, in probably one of the more gruesome ways than we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like on camera anyway.
Because
like,
it came out very deliberate. I mean, it was like we said, the guy was on the ground, clearly begging the guy to get off of him, and he didn't. And
like,
yeah.
He just didn't give a fuck.
So yeah, I think that's why this is probably one of the strongest I feel like this movie's ever been. Even with any other past shootings, unarmed murders, like this is the strongest. I think this one was just out. There was no debating this one. I think it was so egregious that it's like, even if you're on the other side, you have to acknowledge at the end of the day it was wrong. There needs to be justice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are outraged.
Yeah, here's I guess my the most, I'd say, realizable goal that we can ask from this, because I don't think police reform is necessarily the answer. I think even if you instill more training, even if you took away guns, even if you took more power away from the police to have control over people, you're still gonna have people that from a power perspective are gonna abuse what authority they have. And like I said, it's a mentality thing. So let's say 1 out of every 99 cops is the guy that wants to fucking slam a guy's head into the curb. He's still gonna do it whether you give him a gun or not. He's still gonna do it. So, and those people, I don't think you can fix, because like I said, it depends on why you get into it. So I don't think that's necessarily the solution. I don't think you can change everyone's mind, is I guess what I'm getting at. But what you can do is acknowledge the fact that if you believe the overwhelming majority of cops are the ones that are good, and most people tend to be good. That's where the whole stance of like gun laws come from, where it's like more people with good people with guns will stop bad people with guns. Right. I think we need to take that approach and be like, let's have the good cops start talking up against the bad cops. That's what's gonna stop it. If one of those cops that was with George Floyd, and that I forget his name, the cop's name, was with him at the time, any one of them could have spoke up,
right, and
that would have prevented it. So I think it's really about we can't get into the minds of a sociopath or a mean person and change them, but you can get the people around them to start speaking up against them. The people who have the opportunity, and I think there's a kind of a mentality within law enforcement right now where a lot of guys are just because it's, I guess, such a tight knit group, the way they operate. Like, a lot of them won't speak up. So if we can not only get justice or punish the guy who actually kneeled on his knee, but give some sort of punishment to the guys who were with him as well, I think that's going to be the first step in the right direction, because that will incentivize other cops to be like, we can't just be silent anymore. Yeah. If we know one guy's fucking up, then we all got to say something, or else we're all kind of fucked. I think that's the real solution.
Like a collective accountability, basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
So more information, not more information.
We need to encourage that collective accountability.
Right. As long as they know that they can and will be punished if they don't act to stop actual fucking crimes of fucking hate and whatever.
Yeah.
Then that's actually that's a pretty great way of saying it, because I was saying police reform, but I think police re-education maybe is what you're proposing, and that sounds better than what the fuck I was saying. Let's just vote Alonzo 2020.
Hey.
Yeah, man.
Actually, I think that's a good way to end it. I
was gonna say that's actually a great spot to stop this at. That's fucking perfect, man. So we'll see you guys next time.
Hey, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for checking us out.
All right, guys. Peace.